Balancing synchronous and asynchronous activities is part of the video series by virtual campus teachers on effective blended learning practices. How do you balance synchronous and asynchronous activities in a virtual class?
All of our online classes involve some synchronous and some asynchronous activities. I will show you a couple of sample learning cycles to help demonstrate some ways that we incorporate both elements to help students learn more effectively. First, let me show you a learning cycle for what we call our real-time students. That is the students that we meet regularly for live classes. Before the live class, students will often watch a VoiceThread lesson that the teacher has prepared. VoiceThread is the tool we use to record lessons and allow students to interact with the lesson content asynchronously and at their own pace. Some students zip through the material, and some need to revisit certain material, possibly even multiple times, to understand the content. This is the starting point for new content acquisition. In class, we'll practice the new skills and do a deeper dive into the material to make sure that students truly understand. If there's still time in class, they'll start working on some type of consolidation activity, like an assignment, which could be on paper or some digital format. This is sometimes completed at home. By the way, this cycle may take up to a few days. They don't necessarily do a VoiceThread every night, but could do 2 or 3 per week. Here is another learning cycle that is more typical for our self-paced students. These students access their online course of study through our learning management system, which allows them to move through the curriculum independently, but with guided pacing and the support of a teacher who monitors and regularly communicates with them. In a self-paced program, the learning cycle is different. The new content delivery still happens asynchronously through VoiceThread, where students are active and collaborate with other students. The practice activities are also done asynchronously, where we can monitor and provide feedback. Then, once a week for approximately 30 minutes on Zoom, we meet with individual students or small groups of students to answer questions, work through problems, and address any concerns. Synchronous activities are the ones that we do when we're together. Asynchronous activities can be done at any time and allow students to move forward on their own. When planning activities, we try to think about which ones require more intervention or guiding or support or interaction, and which ones students can do more independently. When you're online, it's especially important to have students actively involved in the live sessions. This will help to keep them engaged. There are many tools that we can use in online classes. When choosing a tool for a particular activity, we always consider the pedagogical intent first. Other factors that we may consider is the activity intended to be done synchronously or asynchronously. Am I looking for two-way communication to allow for feedback? Do I want students to be able to communicate with each other?
How do you balance teacher-led class time with in-class activities?
As shown in the first learning cycle, new topics are usually introduced prior to live classes. That allows the synchronous class time to be dedicated more to active work, such as practice, consolidation, answering questions, sharing ideas, reviewing, etc. This cycle is followed by more practice afterwards as students gain independence with the material.
One activity that I find yields good student engagement is to crowdsource a solution to a longer or more complex problem. In this example, parts 1 through 4 were completed by students collaborating in breakout rooms, and part 5 was done together as a class with teacher direction. As the groups worked on their parts, I circulated through the breakout rooms. This allowed me to encourage student thinking in the groups that needed more direction and allowed for intervention when there were errors. For this activity, I chose Jamboards because it is well suited for collaboration, it is shareable, and it is also a platform that allows me to monitor work without needing to be in the same breakout room as a group. In this example, the students were collaborating to solve problems that incorporated several mathematical moves. Again, this was happening in breakout rooms while I was circulating through to ask questions and validate their work. When we reunited, each group was asked to share and explain their solution. I asked the students to focus on presenting their conceptual moves, i.e. why they did what they did rather than the how, since the mechanics should be easy to follow in their solution. For this exercise, each group had the freedom to choose a tool to construct their solution, but all the solutions were assembled in a Google slide deck so that everyone had access. I find that asking students to provide a solution for their classmates elevates the responsibility of the task and enhances student engagement.
If you want more information about our online teaching team's favorite tools and what we use them for, this summary is in the Educator's Toolbox. The URL is in the bibliography on the next slide.